You're listening to the audio production of Did America Have a Christian Founding? Separating Modern Myth from Historical Truth by Mark David Hall, published by Thomas Nelson and read by Tom Parks. Please note that you may download an accompanying PDF that provides enhanced materials for this audiobook. To download the PDF, please visit thomasnelson.com/p/Christian Founding Audio. To Miriam. Introduction. The Problem. Scholars and popular authors routinely assert that America's founders were deists who desired the strict separation of church and state. University of Chicago law professor Jeffrey Stone, for example, wrote that deistic beliefs played a central role in the framing of the American Republic, and that the founding generation viewed religion, and particularly religion's relation to government, through an Enlightenment lens that was deeply skeptical of Orthodox Christianity. Similarly, historian Frank Lambert contends that the significance of the Enlightenment and deism for the birth of the American Republic, and especially the relationship between church and state within it, can hardly be overstated. Even prominent Christian college professors, such as Richard T. Hughes, argue that most of the American founders embraced some form of deism, not historically Orthodox Christianity. Examples of authors who make such statements may be multiplied almost indefinitely. These claims are patently and unequivocally false. This book demonstrates why, revealing the hollowness of assertions that most of America's founders were deists, that they created a godless constitution, that Thomas Jefferson and James Madison desired to build a high wall of separation between church and state, that the founders thought governments should never encourage religion, and that they advocated religious liberty because they were children of the Enlightenment. In addition to showing why and how these claims are wrong, I argue that America's founders were influenced in significant ways by Christian ideas when they declared independence from Great Britain, drafted constitutions, and passed laws to protect religious liberty. Scholars and popular authors have spent a great deal of ink debating different variations of the question that gives this book its title, Did America Have a Christian Founding? This book reveals that the answer is a resounding yes. Moreover, it shows that this is good news for all Americans, even for those who adhere to non-Christian religions or to no faith at all. Why it matters. A little more than 100 years ago, Henry Ford famously proclaimed that history is bunk. America's founders disagreed. The influential but often overlooked signer of the Declaration, drafter of the Constitution, and early Supreme Court Justice James Wilson observed in his law lectures at the College of Philadelphia, now the University of Pennsylvania, that of all governments, those are the best which, by the natural effect of their constitutions, are frequently renewed or drawn back to their first principles. The founders believed that reflecting on the basic ideas from which the authors of a constitutional order drew was crucial to determining how best to proceed in the present. This does not mean that contemporary problems can be solved simply by asking what would the founders do, but it does suggest that we do well to consider the principles that animated the men and women who helped win American independence and created our constitutional republic. Supreme Court justices have made it clear that history matters when interpreting the Constitution. Most judicial conservatives, of course, insist that the Constitution must be interpreted according to the original intent or original understanding of the founders. But this view is not taken solely by
Sample complete. Ready to continue?